Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Wednesday, May 4th. And may the 4th be with you. Welcome to Wednesday. We have a lot of energy swirling here today. First of all, we have the moon still in Gemini, preparing to move into Cancer. We definitely feel all the feels. We definitely gain a lot of intuitive insight. We kind of retreat and kind of stick to our home, to our family, to what is old, tried, tested, and true when the moon moves into Cancer. But first, we do have a semi-full day of the moon in Gemini. The moon will not be going void, of course, until about 4:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and will lock into Cancer in energy around 7 p.m. Again, Eastern Standard Time. So that is a little bit, around 2.5, almost 3 hours of the moon going void, of course, and of course not a time to make any decisions. It's the time when we are a little bit cray-cray, when things are unstable, uncertain, we are indecisive, and we do have to wait until the moon actually locks into Cancer before we're going to feel any kind of stability. And I use that term very, very loosely. So the moon in Gemini, still very much pressuring our headspace, our heart space, trying to get on the same page. The moon is now illuminated in the sky. We're starting to see that very small little slither of that illumination coming through the night sky, which means that we are setting our focus, setting our intentions on what it is that we want. Of course, feeding off of the new moon intentions that we had, we couldn't really do much with. Now that the moon is being seen in the sky, we are coming up with aha moments, with moments of insight, having intuitive insight as well. And that is going to be amplified once the moon moves into Cancer as well. So the moon in Gemini still helping us sort through, process a lot of information. Right out of the gate, the moon is going to bump into the true node in not the nicest way. This is really putting us at odds with our physical circumstances, with what's going on in our realm, because we don't know what to plan for. We don't know what the next step is. We don't know what it is that we're doing. Many of us had a lot revealed to us that have definitely thrown a wrench into our plans. That true node, of course, wants us to get closer to where it is that we're supposed to be, where it is that we desire to be. But that vision, that dream is needing some re-editing, as some people have shown their true colors and some situations have unfolded in such a way that the plans that we thought that we had for ourselves are rapidly changing. The moon goes ahead and bumps into Pluto in a very positive way, because this means that we are gaining some insight. Yes, we've been fixated on certain topics and themes, semi-obsessed, if you will, trying to come up with solutions to some of the problems. And for many of us, it just hasn't happened. This particular energy is suggesting that there is an aha moment. There is new information being revealed that actually makes a lot of sense, not only to our head space, to our heart space as well. This is helping the inner transformation that is needed in the psyche, in the heart space, getting us on the same page and preparing us for some major changes in our physical realm. The moon still in Gemini, trining Saturn, the Lord of Karma. Saturn, of course, is in Aquarius energy, trying to show us where it is that we are focused on the future, gaining that vision, gaining that dream of our future vision, our future goals, and trying to break it down in manageable steps so that we can be proactive. We can be in control in the here and now. We do have to boss up a little bit and get a little bit more strength and discipline over our emotions. We do have to recognize where we are essentially stepping up to the plate of new roles and responsibilities that are required of us in this level up. If we are actually aligning with the new dreams, with the new visions that we want to manifest, it is going to require us to be a different version of ourselves. And of course, that change needs to happen in our head space, in our heart space, long before we are willing to go ahead and take action in our physical realms to bridge the gap from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be. The moon squares Neptune. A square is not a friendly aspect. It is a tension point. It is an inner conflict. And it makes a lot of sense because the moon in Gemini is, Gemini. Mercury rules over Gemini, which means that the lower intellect, our egoic selves, dependent on the details of our physical realms, applying logic and practicality to the information that we're bringing in, is very stuck in this physical realm, stuck in our physical circumstances. Neptune in Pisces is our higher selves. It's our intuition. It's our dreams. It's our creativity. It's our fantasy land, our imagination. And of course, we need to step outside of our physical circumstances, the physical information and details being revealed in order to align with the vision and the dream that we are trying to manifest. So obviously there's going to be some tension here. We have the moon in Gemini, very rooted in this physical realm, going head to head to the metaphysical realm, our soul self, our intuitional self. And one thing is for sure, the gut intuitional insights that we have right now, the faith that we have, the hope that we have is definitely not dependent on our physical circumstances. If we were allowing our physical circumstances to dictate what is actually possible for us in the future, many of us would be very sad at these particular circumstances. And so the square, the tension point, the inner conflict is needed in order to find a middle ground. Where can we allow our egoic selves, dependent on the physical circumstances, dependent on logic and practicality, where can we open our minds up? Gemini energy, definitely very curious. Where can we open our minds up, our egos up, just to let that fantasy realm in just a tad, just to allow that intuition to come in and at least meet our ego halfway. The square is always applying some pressure, and out of this pressure comes great change. So it is likely that we're going to get a little bit of balance here, an intuitive insight, a gut feeling that we are going to try to make sense of, that we're going to come to peace in terms with, that sometimes we have to just trust that things don't make logical sense. As long as they feel right, we have to lean into our intuition and see what unfolds. The moon is going to go ahead and bump into Chiron in a very positive way. Chiron, of course, the wounded healer, illuminating to us what it is, the wounds within us, asking for attention, what it is that we need to do to heal them. And of course, we have the inner wisdom and the inner knowledge to do just that. The moon in Gemini, very curious, rapidly processing new thoughts, new perspectives, new information, new details. There is an aha moment. And I do believe that this aha moment is kind of feeding off of the earlier tension aspect between the moon and Neptune, really kind of getting our intuition into play as well. And when we allow those insights to come in, when we, say to our ego self, it's great that you want to be in control, that you want to, rely on logic and practicality, but we have to let our higher self in and see what that particular part of us has to say. I think that when we do that, we're going to come to some kind of aha moment, because the moon bumping into Chiron in this way is very suggestive that something clicks in our brain. We see something differently. We feel differently. And of course, when we have a different perspective shift, that not only changes the way that we kind of chalk up our past experiences where we kind of accumulated these wounds, but it changes the way that we feel about it in a past tense, in a present tense, and in a futuristic tense as well. So Mars goes ahead and sextiles Uranus. Now, let me just tell you, this is happening around noon-ish. And Mars, of course, is still in Piscean energy, very passive aggressive, very reliant on intuition, on inspiration, on the creative forces to flow, to really have us positioned to take action. Many of us not taking much action. We're sorting through the process in our inner realms. We're really not seeing a whole lot of action in our physical realms. Uranian energy, the great awakener, likes to shock us, likes to throw something at us. Aha moments, moments of genius, finger snaps, things click, suddenly perspectives shift. Mars bumping into Uranus in this way is likely going to shift not only our perspective, not only our energy, our passion, our desires, but it is going to kind of trigger a little bit of rebellion that is needed in order for us to say, I think I'm ready to stand up for myself. I think I'm ready to fight back. I think I'm ready to cut the cord with the past. I think I'm ready to charge forward. This is exactly the kind of energy that we need. We need to continue to up the vibration, up the frequency, to tap into our passion, to tap into our inspiration. This Piscean energy is very healing that Mars is in, but we're kind of wish-washy. We're kind of vague with it. And I feel like this Uranian energy that is, the ruler of the higher intelligence that we tap into from the higher realms is really downloading us with a moment of genius where we can't unknow a certain thing, highly charging us. Again, central nervous system is involved here with Uranian energy. We are highly charged, highly passionate, highly focused on what it is that we want, need, and desire. And we are finally building ourselves up to a point where we're able to actually take action and move forward without the elements of the past constantly keeping us in a state of paralysis, blocking us from actually moving forward. The sun at this particular point bumps into Chiron, and I will say it's not in the most pleasant way. This is likely going to be an activation or a trigger coming from outside of us, taking place in our physical realms, outside of our control, in our physical circumstances. And of course, the sun is in Taurus, trying to really push forward, really illuminate what it is that we need to get to work on, what it is we need to build, what it is we need to create, what it is we need to give birth to, what it is that we need to work on stability within certain areas of our life, which is our self-love game, our daily routines where self-love is concerned, how it is that we're taking care of ourselves. Relationship dynamics, because those are rapidly changing. And of course, money matters because that has come into focus as well. So you have the sun trying to shine a bright light on what it is that we got to get to work doing, right? We have Chiron, the wounded healer, trying to illuminate for us where it is that some wounds are going to get triggered and activated by outside circumstances popping off that we have no control over. And let me just say, this is actually needed. We need to see things fall apart. We need to see where we're not happy, where we're angry, where we're frustrated, where we're hurt in our lives, in our relationships, in our money matters. We need to be triggered. If you are going to work, doing the 9 to 5 at some soulless job that is absolutely sucking the life out of you, and something happens at work that just makes you want to quit, take that as a sign. Maybe you do need to think about an alternate career. Maybe you need to start looking at the job postings. Maybe you need a change in your life. If the trigger is coming from a personal relationship and your feelings are hurt, or you're sad, or you're disappointed, or you've just had your heart broken, take that as a hint. You are not in alignment with this individual. And if it's happening in your routine, let's just say that something happened in the run of your day and you're just tired of dealing with it. Somebody reaches out to you or a situation pops off and the first thing you do is just sigh, with this existential crisis type of sigh, like, ugh. Take that as a sign. You need to create a better routine, a better task, a better chore for yourself in order to free yourself, liberate yourself from the weight of the world that this particular activation is trying to trigger in you. Please understand you need to use your negative emotions as the emotional compass that we are downloaded with as an earthly human being, as the key on what it is that you need to move away from and what it is you need to move closer to. So I'm sorry to say, but we need situations to pop off. You need your feelings hurt. You need to be angry. You need to be frustrated in order to figure out where it is that you're unaligned with your path, with your higher self, with your happiness, with your joy, in order for you to be basically triggered to the point where you are going to make a change no matter what. This is how transformations happen. It's how, typically speaking, many of us need to learn the hard way. And you have to be uncomfortable in life before many of us are willing to make a dramatic change. The moon goes ahead and bumps into Pluto. And again, this is not a good energy. I feel like we are riding off of the sun just bumping into Chiron, illuminating where we need to get our feelings hurt. The moon bumping into Pluto in this way is definitely going to give us an opportunity to see the pain, to see the trauma, to see the suffering, and to give us a choice point. Are we going to allow the people, the events, the situations that just popped off have control over us and dictate to us our future? Or are we going to use that as a catalyst, as inspiration, as motivation to boss the hell up and do something about it? We are definitely going to have to sit with some darker thoughts, some darker feelings in order to recognize where change is needed the most. The moon goes ahead at this particular point in time. This is the last aspect that the moon in Gemini makes before going void, of course. The moon is going to square, create a tension point, have conflict with Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion. Now, Jupiter is in Pisces, working very hard in the last degrees of Piscean energy to wrap things up, to bring things full circle, to recognize what it is that we're moving away from as he prepares to dive into Aries energy next week. This is a brand new cycle for Jupiter. 12 to 13 years it takes Jupiter to go all through the signs. So him preparing to move into Aries energy, it means that there's a lot of wrapping up to do, a lot of loose ends to tie up in Piscean energy. Now, Jupiter in Pisces wants us to heal, wants us to bring things full circle, wants to stop numbing, wants to stop running away from the truth, wants to stop us from living in a fantasy land, romanticizing the situation, thinking that things are just going to get better, even though we have our head stuck in the sand. The moon in Gemini squaring Jupiter at this time is a conflict in the fact that we need to get a grip. We need to get a grip. What are we getting a grip on? Well, first of all, we need to get a grip on the fact that this Piscean energy likes to delude us, likes to romanticize situations that have no business being romanticized. You've been hearing me rant about many of us falling in love with a certain potential of a situation, of a goal, of a dream, of a person, and then constantly being disappointed when that situation, that person is constantly showing us that they are not living up to potential. They are showing us exactly who it is that they are, or in a situational case, a dream, a goal, what it is that we're currently up against. And we have to stop, and we have to recognize where it is that maybe we've been blowing this situation up. We've been pouring too much hope into it. We've been pouring too much fantasy into it. Again, the moon in Gemini wants us to focus on the details, on what is in front of us, not on what it is that could be or should be. We want to focus on the details of what is. And right now, with Jupiter, because he likes for us to grow, he likes for us to expand our mental plane, expand our heart space, expand our understanding. He also turns the volume up. He magnifies whatever's going on. And he tends to overwhelm us, overdo, overcommit. And right now, we're going to have some large feelings, some very, very extra dramatic feelings. Why? Because we had a situation pop off earlier that we're trying to wrap our heads around. We're trying to wrap our heart space around. Doesn't feel good, but this is the opportunity for growth. This is the opportunity for us to see things as they are instead of the way that we want them to be, and actually deal with the matter-of-fact, logic and practical situations that are unfolding in front of us, and stop running, stop fantasizing, stop dreaming them into something that they have never been and will never be. This is when the moon goes void, of course. So things are shaky. We're very uncertain, likely having lots of anxiety, likely having an emotional outburst. Again, I'm going to just remind you, we don't want to make any rash decisions. We don't want to make any commitments. We don't want to just end on this is the way that I feel, this is the way that I think, and I'm going to act upon it right now. Because when the moon is void, we are very shaky and things change very rapidly. Now, granted, the moon is moving into Cancer energy, which is highly emotional and very intuitive, but we're not quite there yet. While the moon is still in Gemini energy, but void, the moon is going to semi-square the sun. This is always a difficult point because the moon likes to represent our emotions, our unconscious self, and the past version of ourself. And the sun typically represents who it is that we are, who it is that we need to be, the parts, the qualities, the characteristics that we need to embody in order to move forward. Because of course the sun is in Taurus, trying to show us where it is that we have to build new identities, new foundations, new systems, new routines, new relationships, new levels of self-love and self-worth. So the semi-square is a tension point. We are going to have a little bit of a tough time while the moon is void, of course, trying to discern what it is. How are we supposed to move away from the old when we don't know what the new is yet? This is going to overwhelm us. Again, we're just riding off of this Jupiter energy that makes everything bigger than it actually is. And then right before the moon actually locks into Cancer energy, the moon still in Gemini is going to semi-square Uranus. This is going to add a whole other level of confusion. And confusion is the name of the game right now as we enter into the evening part of the day, because confusion sets us up for clarity. An emotional breakdown sets us up for an emotional breakthrough. The moon in Gemini is definitely trying to sort through and kind of bring together the two extreme points of view, the two choices, the two decisions, the two paths that we're currently trying to choose from. This Uranian energy, which rules over the higher level intellect, bringing information in from the cosmos, is going to confuse some things for us right now before we're going to gain that bigger, broader picture. Again, central nervous system popping off. Anxiety popping off, restlessness popping off, just not even be able to communicate or complete a thought popping off. We do have to ride this energy out, but again, it is absolutely essential to have this point of confusion, especially after this particular situation popping off that is going to tick us off, that is going to hurt our feelings, that is going to really illuminate for us where it is that we need a little bit more independence, a little bit more freedom, a little bit more safety and security when it comes to our emotions.